Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Um, let's see. So tonight, guys, we are going to talk about the case that is basically rocked pretty much the United States, especially Dallas, and also the entire YouTube community. We're going to be talking about the murder, because that's what it was, the murder of 4-year-old Cash Gernon in Dallas, Texas. Many of you know there are tons of videos out there. I even did a couple of videos on this case, and then I kind of decided to slow down a little bit because it just seems like there are a lot of people who have good intentions, I believe, but it's becoming, I just felt it was overwhelming for me. I don't know about anybody else. I'll just leave it at that. But tonight I decided to come on to talk about it, but just from a different perspective. Everyone is telling what happened, but I really want to zone in on just us having a conversation about why we're here with this situation. Why did 4-year-old Cash have to lose his life? So I don't think there's very many people in here right now. So just give me a few minutes, not too long, maybe a minute or two. It doesn't really matter to me if there's just one person or, 100 people. If you are watching and you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Please also consider sharing this video. If you are returning, thank you so much for returning. I really appreciate your support. I am really trying to grow this channel. I'm talking about crime cases in the Black community or that affect the Black community. And I want to talk about them from a perspective of how we get to the place that we get to and what we can do to try to do something different to change the outcome for someone else, hopefully, as well as to kind of help, when we have a lot of these cases that are unsolved or not getting as much media attention as they should get. My goal is to put these cases out there to maybe encourage people to report what they know, talk about what, they've seen or heard. So that's the reason why I have this channel, or I started the channel. I don't really want to ride the wave of crime cases. I've always had an attraction to these types of topics. So I felt like this would be a great way to kind of satisfy that and help people as well. So I'm not sure how many people are in here, but let's just go ahead and get started. So as we all know, this is concerning the murder of 4-year-old Cash Gernon by Darriynn Brown, 18-year-old Darriynn Brown out of Dallas, Texas. I believe we all know that this case happened on May 5th. It started on May 15th when Darriynn is accused of sneaking into Monica Sherrod's home where Cash lived in early morning of May 15th, and for whatever reason decided to essentially kidnap Cash, who has a twin. He kidnapped Cash, and he was later found by a neighbor who happened to be doing her morning walk in the middle of the street, deceased. Darriynn was initially booked and charged with, let's go ahead and pull this up here. He was initially booked and charged with kidnapping, injuring a child, negligence, evading arrest, and burglary. Then recently, within the last couple of days, they increased his charge to capital murder after police forensics came back and found that he had blood on his clothing and his sunglasses that were linked to 4-year-old Cash. Now, in the beginning, when this first happened, I don't know how many people know, but I remember his mother, Michelle Brown. She would get on a news outlet and tell people that she felt like her son was being framed. here we are fast forwarding to maybe 3 or 4 weeks later now, and so much has come out about Darryn's behavior leading up to that day, as well as going back, it seems like months, where Darriynn was basically a neighborhood menace or nuisance. And people in the community essentially feared him because of his behavior. Now, I want to talk about this because the thing that bothers me is that, first of all, his mother got on television or got on a news outlet or whatever she did and said that he was being framed. I can't understand how she could fix her mouth and allow those words to come out, knowing what type of person Darriynn is. That is what I want to talk about today. Who is responsible? I know that Darriynn committed this act, but excuse me, guys, I just heard something in my house. I think it was maybe the garbage can. I don't know. Darriynn committed this act, but this started, it seems, so long ago. And I just feel like more than Darriynn bears some responsibility for what happened. And I want to know everyone else's opinions and thoughts on that as well. Now, this will be my first time doing this tonight, but I think I want to open up or invite people to come on and give their thoughts and their feedback, because I really want us to all have a respectful and meaningful dialogue. Right now, I do see that there are 0 people watching, but that's okay. We'll just wait a little bit to see if other people come in. If they don't, I'm going to wait about 2 minutes. If they don't come in, I'm just going to keep going. We won't have the live feedback, but I'll still share my point of view. And you all that decide to watch later are more than welcome to leave your comments down in the comment section below. So let's just give it a few minutes and see if we get anybody to come in and listen. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a drink. I'm actually drinking Apothic Red. It's a really good red wine. I've had 2 of them. I think Apothic Crush. And this may be the Crush or maybe the Red. I'm not really sure. But they are so good. And I'm not really like a true wine drinker because of the bitter taste. But I see we have 1 person coming in right now. So thank you for stopping by. You probably missed the initial part of what I was talking about tonight. I wanted to talk about the case of 4-year-old Cash Gernon out of Dallas, Texas, who was murdered by the gentleman that you see on the screen. His name is Darriynn Brown. He's 18 years old. And according to everybody in the community and in the neighboring area, hi, Candy. Thank you for being a new subscriber. So according to everyone in this community, Darriynn was essentially a menace to his community and his neighbors. And I really want to know or get your thoughts on who is really responsible for the death of this 4-year-old baby. I mean, we have Darriynn, who is accused of actually doing the act or committing the act of stabbing 4-year-old Cash, but we also have Darriyn's mother, who sounds like from all of the reports knew that he was a menace. There are neighbors who have reported that he would walk around the neighborhood with a hammer, smashing out surveillance cameras, smashing windows. We also have the elderly male who said that Darriynn broke into his home and was rummaging through his stuff while he was home with his 2-year-old granddaughter and was basically attempting to kidnap her. We have Monica Sherrod, who initially lied and said she pretty much just knew him from the neighborhood. And then turns out that this man was living in her home because she knew that he was going through some sort of mental crisis. Candy, beyond normal. Candy says Darriynn Brown is beyond normal. He's beyond something. I just feel like even his mother, Michelle Mimi Brown, got on television and said, along with Darren's attorneys, that Darren's attorney said he's schizophrenic. She says he's been, receiving treatment at some mental facility because he was going through something. Those are all signs and clearly evidence that she knew what his mental state was and that it was not okay for him to just be, out and about, roaming around, doing what he wants to do. Obviously, I don't care that he's 18 years old or not. Right. Candy says, he's ultimately responsible, but she could have gotten door alarms to prevent him from roaming the streets. That's possible. She could have went to authorities and told them that she knew that he was the one roaming around the streets. I'm sure she was not oblivious to what he was doing. That I'm sure of. I just cannot believe that she didn't know. I'm sure if the neighbors knew that this was the person, she knew, and she had the responsibility, I feel like, to say something to someone, even if she didn't want to, go to authorities or the police. I feel like she could have done more with his mental health, physicians, the people that were helping him. She could have told them, hey, he's doing these things in the community. What can we do to either, make sure that he's not able to just be out and about, or how can we, I need some additional support services. What do you all think about that? Right. I feel like, there's so much to this because not just Darriynn, not just Michelle, Mimi Brown, his mother, you have Monica Sherrod. First, you have Trevor, these two boys' father, who appears to just be, on a downward spiral with drugs and, not, handling his life properly, decided to leave his two most precious gifts to someone who he really didn't know. I don't care if he knew her for 3 years. He didn't know her. And I don't even think he really cared at the moment how long he knew her or how well he felt like he knew her. It sounds like they had a connection that was not necessarily healthy from the looks of things, like drugs or something like that. So I just feel like this could have been fixed maybe prevented by so many different people that I just think there's so many people in this situation who should be ashamed of themselves. And not only Darriynn, what about the law enforcement in this area? From what I understand, and all of this is alleged, I don't know if it's true. I have not dug enough or deep enough to find or confirm, but from what I understand, Dallas PD is kind of sticking their heels in the mud in this area, not really responding as promptly as they should. Right. You're right, Candy. That's it. He was in no position to make decisions. I don't understand how he became the guardian of the two boys. From what I understand, their mother was looking for them along with their maternal grandmother. Law enforcement needed to be sued. If that's an option, I really do feel like they dropped the ball too. There's no way that this boy, along with whomever was out there, he's on camera smashing windows. He's on camera smashing surveillance cameras. He's on camera attempting to walk into someone's backyard, which I believe that was Monica's backyard. He's on camera doing all of these things. He's apparently accused or alleged, the neighbors are saying that he was exposing himself. He was caught in a stolen vehicle. He was accused of, doing drugs, all of these things. And he's just roaming. And as you can see on his charges in Dallas County, he only has 8 charges, and all 8 of them, it's not even really 8 because there are duplicates here. There's 2 burglaries, capital murder. He has 1, 2, 3, but I don't think it's actually 3. I think it's 2. So that's 2 and 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like 7 charges. And they're all as a result of cash and the neighbor's house that he broke into, attempting to take his 2-year-old granddaughter. What about all the other instances of him being an idiot in the community? And I even wonder, how much does his mental instability affect his ability to reason? I heard someone say that he knew what he was doing was wrong based on the fact that he would smash out surveillance cameras to try to hide his actions. But I don't necessarily know that that's true, because he's openly exposing himself in the neighborhood while walking down the street. I'm just not sure what his mental state is. I'm not a doctor, but I do feel like Dallas PD, Monica, Trevor, Mimi, Darriynn, anybody else who knew that this young man had issues and allowed him to be around these children, or allowed him to walk freely without any sort of guards or, parameters, need to, they should be held accountable, and they need to bear some responsibility. It's disgusting to me that his mother would get on TV and now her latest thing is that he's being framed. Framed by whom? The surveillance in the home is there. You can, to me, in my opinion, you can clearly tell it's him. You can clearly tell it's him. There's, to me, no way, there's no denying that it's him. And frame is, to me, subject. What does that even mean? He's being framed. Did someone force him to do it? No, there's no one there with a gun to his head. There's no one in the room standing there over him saying, grab him now. I just don't understand why he was allowed to do the things that he did for so long. There are several videos. Let me see if I can find this one video. I mean, neighbors are, it sounds like at a town hall, and they're literally like fighting to try to figure out why the police are not doing what they're supposed to do. I'm going to play this video. How long is it? I'm not going to play the whole thing. I want to play the part where she says, I want to play the part where his mother is speaking. Hang on.
While walking down the street 7 hours before he kidnapped Cash. Let's listen to Mimi Brown, Darryn's mother, about what she thinks happened to Cash Gernon.
What do you believe happened?
Well, I think that 4-year-old boy was killed at them people's home, and I believe someone had transportation, like a car or truck, and transported his body to the body site.
Okay, so Mimi says she believes that someone took the baby out of their home, transported him to some. Hi, Candy. I'm going to add you in. What do you?
Hi, this is my first time using this feature.
I can't. Hang on one second. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
It sounds like an echo.
Oh, hold on. You know what? I think I need to put headphones on. Hold on one second. I'll be right back.
Okay, is it me?
Okay. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Does it sound like an echo still?
No, much better.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for sending me the link. This is my first time live on the platform on YouTube. So I'm a bit nervous, but this case bothered me so much. I think the creepiness of seeing him over that crib and walking out with that baby. I mean, I had nightmares for a couple of days, and there's a lot of kids being hurt and harmed, but the evidence was overwhelming
Absolutely.
against Darriynn. And all the other speculation and everything on YouTube was a bit frustrating because it was clearly him. The shoes match when he was outside of that truck, the same shoes, his demeanor, his disposition. It was just as creepy as seeing him in the daylight looking in that fence. You know, that video when he had on the tank top?
Yes,
The white.
I absolutely agree. And I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinions as far as, what they think may have happened, but the speculation, like you said, it's kind of becoming a little, I don't know, obnoxious in my opinion, because he looks like Darriynn. The person in the video looks just like him, and it is him. And
It's him.
I think the next thing that people that everyone should be doing is focusing on kind of like the why and how it can, what we can do to try to prevent it from happening again, to the next family.
What I just joined your channel, I think a day or two. But what I like and what really got my attention about your last video was not very many content creators are looking at Darryn's mother.
I know
she loves her son. I get that. But this boy was deeply disturbed and, like you said, a menace to the neighborhood. And the hours of night that he was out of that house, any parent, whether you're 18 or 25, is not going to allow a person to go in and out of that house at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. The neighbor that had him on camera and did an interview, he was saying the different times that he had seen him on camera and had altercations where he couldn't sleep at night. How is he getting out of the house and going in the neighborhood those out when most people are sleeping?
Right. Most people are sleeping. He's just 18 years old. He's still a teenager, even though he would probably classify himself as an adult, or his mom seems to be classifying him as an adult. But I have an adult child. And even now when she comes to my home, we have boundaries. We're not coming in at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and she's not in her teens anymore.
But let's say with those boundaries, you gave her some leeway. Right. If this was happening on a regular basis, knowing that other people, because I'm sure she heard about the other police reports or calls about her son, him exposing himself in a neighborhood, she had to have heard about it. So knowing that those other incidents happen, how do you then, are you sleeping when he's going in and out of the door? Are you not home? Or is it just you just throw in the towel?
I don't, those are all good questions. And I'm not sure what Mimi's lifestyle is like. I did look at her Facebook page, if that is still a legitimate page. She doesn't have much on there. She does have a lot of pictures of children and Darriynn when he was very young, like I would say maybe 10 on up, 10, 11, 12, maybe in middle school. And but I will say 90% of her pictures are her on this platform on Facebook, but it's an old, it doesn't look like she keeps it up currently. I just feel like she may have a lot of children. I feel like she does appear to be very young with a lot of kids. So I don't know if she's working late hours or, what, I don't know what her circumstances are, but there really is no excuse. I'm sure
Yeah,
she has a support system of family or someone who she could kind of even get some advice from about, hey, if this is above her, if she feels like she's in over her head with him, what can I do with him? You are like asking for help,
I agree. And there's so many resources out there. It sounds like I think I heard that when he attempted to take the 2-year-old, that he did go and get an evaluation. But I'm wondering if that was the first one or if there was one prior to that. I would like to know his history, if what type of medication, if he was on, if anything, and when did it start, and documents showing that his mother was proactive in trying to get him help.
And those are all
But
good questions and good
that's
points.
yeah, I just think that more people should really be talking about her. I mean, Monica, the Trevor, the mother, all of them, in my opinion, failed Cash. At the
Yes.
end of the day, they all failed him. But we're dealing with people. It sounds like most of them have a drug addiction. So I don't know if his mother is over hers, but it just sounds like that's no excuse. But I have family members who are when they were on drugs, some of their children were taken away by CPS. They're not making rational decisions. They'll drop their kids off, come back 2-3 days later and pick them up. Like, that's kind of what drug addicts do. So that's not surprising that he left the twins at Monica's house. That doesn't surprise me, knowing his history and that he was on the run. So that doesn't surprise me at all. It
No,
just kind of goes along with with being an addict.
right. And that's true. That's totally true. And I also, as you were talking, thought about something else along the lines of how long he's been getting treatment for his mental health issues. If he has been getting treatment, say, since, I don't know, it could be even 6 months. It still doesn't line up, because this lady, Monica, says that she allowed him to live with her, I think, for something along the lines of a year, because he was having a mental health crisis. So that's a long time where several people should have been involved. What about child protective services? What about, when you get social, mental health counseling for a minor? Usually a lot of different agencies get involved, from what I understand.
Yeah, and so I understood that Leslie, which is Monica's mother, was at the home, and Monica was in jail.
Oh,
Her and her mother had a altercation, and Monica was in jail for a while. I don't know why the circumstances other than that as to why she was in jail. But Leslie was there with her children. Monica wasn't in the home. But so when Darriynn and his brother was living there that year. But when Monica got out, she found her children, and then Leslie gave her the home. And I guess Leslie and Monica's dad or stepdad moved away and left the home, or either way, Monica wasn't there. But from other, pages, that Monica thought that Darriynn was creepy and didn't want or like him at the house once she started living there, supposedly.
Okay.
So,
still so many questions and not enough answers. And you do bring up a lot of great points, and some of the same things that I'm thinking, like, this mother she is the mother. She has a lot of responsibility. And it just seems like she comes out in these spurts and makes these blanket statements, and then she runs away and has nothing else to say. And someone also said, if she really was, to me, I'll just say this as a mom: if my child did something of this magnitude, I believe that I would be so distraught that I would be like, listen, I apologize. Like, I wouldn't even have the words to apologize, but I would be trying to find ways to show my, I would be pouring into this family in some way. I wouldn't be sitting here pretending like you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's hard for me. I think that's why I'm kind of zooming in on the mom, is because we didn't get that empathy from her. And not only that, is she wasn't truthful and forthcoming either. She and I what I hear was that she called CPS on Leslie when Darriynn and his brother was living there to get them to come back home. So she wasn't even forthcoming in Darriynn knowing that family in her interview.
Right.
So she was withholding information and not being truthful as well. The same thing, that Monica, I would downplay my association with someone if they like, I mean, I don't think that anyone will.
I get what you're saying. It's kind of like,
guilt by association type of thing. So I understand that, Cameron saying, yeah, from school and around the neighborhood. Like I kind of get that guilt by association, kind of want to separate yourself from it all. So when I look at his statement and then I look at the mother's statement, I'm like, okay, so neither one of y'all really wanted to be forthcoming in how close you guys really are and know each other, and the history of CPS being called and your children living there. She never even was forthcoming with that. So,
they're
so that's kind of, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And like you said, there wasn't a lot of empathy from her, even if she said he has a mental illness. We've been dealing with this for the last 5 years, 10 years, something. But we didn't get any of that. So.
None of it. And she could have simply said, you know what? Every mother would understand. She could have gotten on television and said, I am a mother first. Lord knows I love my child. I also know that he's been doing X, Y, and Z. So I don't totally know where he was at that time, but I love my son and I hope, you know what I mean? Anything like she just came right out of the gate saying, he's being framed. He wasn't there. She lied and said he was home. She tried to give him an alibi or something like that. To me, it just is.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't give your child an alibi after killing a 4-year-old baby. Like I don't know. It just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see Cash, and I believe he was alive in the bed.
Me too.
And I also believe Darriynn came back for Carter. Just his demeanor and what got me, and I knew with 100, the way the sickness to come back in that house, but to touch Carter after just murdering his brother.
Right.
It was, the darkness behind his behavior and the light. Some people's like, oh, he was checking up on it. And no. What I saw is a very, very nervous person, anxiety. Like he got a taste of blood. It's like he was swarming over Carter like a hyena. He wanted to move forward so bad. Like I just picked up on, that's the energy that I picked up on in that video. And it was that was more frightening, just as frightening as him taking Cash out of the room, because he's doing this in broad daylight. And another thing, what I think I noticed in that video is, remember at the end when after he left out, Carter was staring at that window. Yeah. If you look at the video, it looks like he went outside and he went to that side window and was staring in, because Carter was standing there after he said, oh, Cash, he was just standing there and he was looking at that side window, and you can see it looks like a silhouette in that window, and he was just staring at him.
I've heard some people kind of mention that somebody was in that window, but they were like talking about when it was dark, I thought. So I will go back and take a look at that. I did notice him staring at the window after he kind of looked at the bed, like, where's my brother? But yep. I'm going to take a look. But everything you said, I believe, I agree. I agree 100%. Even when I look at his mugshot and some of those other pictures, not necessarily his mugshot, but there's a couple of pictures where he literally looks like he's, just not even he looks like he almost has a smirk.
He's there, but he's not there.
Right. Yeah.
He has a very, very dark energy, and something is seriously off with him. And the one thing I am curious about, though, is where was Carter between 7 and 10, from the time he
After the footage, you mean? Like after he got up and noticed, after looking out that window, what happened with him at that point, you mean?
Yeah. Did he go back to bed? Because most kids, you know, I don't recall kids going back and just lying in bed, especially with his brother missing. It seemed like he would roam around that house a lot longer until he found him, or go and ask an adult, where is he? I can't imagine him laying down and just going back to sleep, or just laying in the bed by himself for 3 hours until he go to Monica's room. So
I
that
don't
window
think so
between
either.
7 to 10, and kids are hungry in the morning. They're ready for their cereal, so that.
Cartoons,
Mhm,
something.
mhm.
Yeah, you're
So.
right. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and I feel like too, probably because of the YouTube community, I think that law enforcement looks at all of this. Even if it's just from the standpoint of, what are people saying, but I also think that law enforcement community is very careful about what they put out, because they don't want all of these videos drawing attention to it and making up false, accusations, or putting out false stories and rumors. So I'm sure there's tons of information that they have that we are just not aware of. But yeah, I have a lot of questions, and just like I'm sure everyone else, it's just very heartbreaking. And I do feel like, you know, Darriyn's mother, there's a lot of people in Darriyn's life that just need to answer for what they've been doing with him for the last, 18 years to lead up to this point.
Yeah,
But,
I agree.
I thank you so much for jumping on to talk to me, since it's just you and I hanging out and we can sharing our thoughts.
I've been wanting to talk about it out loud, but I haven't had the guts to call into anyone's channel, because I knew that I would bring up Darriyn's mom. Now, she's not the focal point. Ultimately, he's the guilty party. He's the right person, in my opinion, that's behind bars. Where he needs to be. Thank God it's a capital murder case and he's off the streets. Because if he came in that quickly, if that was the first time he'd done something like that, murdering a child, to come back that quickly and willing to kill another child, then he needed to be off the street immediately. I could easily see him becoming a serial killer. So he's where he needs to be. But I knew I would bring up the mom, because that's her child. She has more insight into his behavior, his mentality, his coming and going of the home, even inside the home, maybe altercations with the other children, or even with her. Another neighbor said police were called to the house a few times. So
she's just not being honest, and you're totally right. I feel like people are overlooking her, maybe out of anger, maybe out of whatever, just not really wanting to focus on her or feeling sorry for her. But she needs to be speaking up, because she spoke up to say that he watches her cousins and stuff, like basically trying to imply that family feels comfortable with him being around kids. So you're trying to boost him up in that way, but where's the proof? Number one, because I haven't heard any other family come out and say that, or agree, or say that this is shocking, behavior from him. And not to mention, he had just did this, or tried to do something similar a month prior, which to me, I believe if he would have gotten that little girl, we would be talking about her.
He would have killed that baby girl.
Yeah.
He would have done it. And then think about how bold that is, to be arrested, to go for 2-3 days, however long they had him in custody, and to get out in less than a month. You do it again. Only, like, he had been making threats to neighbors coming in, killing him, and he just made good on his threat. Like the neighbor said, it was about opportunity. I mean, it's like,
it's disgusting, and so many people should be, speaking, like, so many people should have to answer for what they allowed to go on. That's just that's the way I see it. And it is like there's obviously something wrong with him, but it is more to me than just, a schizophrenic. Schizophrenics aren't just, they don't go out and kill people. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's something more to this than him just having a mental issue of, schizophrenia, like his attorney is trying to claim.
No, he's a murderer.
Yeah.
I have an uncle that is schizophrenia when we were growing up. And when I asked, you know, my family, like what happened, you know, when I was younger, I didn't understand what was going on with some of his odd behavior, and they would come and take him to the hospital, right? My grandmother would, and this is my grandmother's son, and they said that during his childhood he was fairly normal, but in his teens, like early to mid teens, is when the behavior started to be irrational and out of control, and he would have more altercations with his siblings. And so they got him my grandmother got him diagnosed. They found out what it was. He had medication, but he would never consistently take his medication. But I remember several times as a child growing up that they would call the hospital and they would come and get him, and he would frequently be in a facility.
Yeah.
You know, and then when he was around us, he wasn't harm. His thing was he just liked to play music. Like, he wasn't a killer. He wasn't aggressive towards us and peeping in windows, and he didn't have that criminal behavior. What Darriynn is doing is beyond being a schizophrenic. It's criminal mentality and behavior.
Right.
You know, they're not necessary. There's a lot of people with schizophrenia, and we pass by them plenty of times just going to a gas station. We'll never know. And they don't go out of their way to try to harm us or, you know, stab us while we're going into a gas station or walking past someone that's homeless that has an illness, whether they're on or off their medication. So even if that's what's happening, that's no excuse to murder a child, not in my opinion. So I hope that they keep all the videos that they need and as much information that they need, the FBI, so that capital murder sticks.
Right. Absolutely. I agree 100%. I thank you so much for coming in and chatting with me about it. You're welcome. I like to hear everybody's opinions and their thoughts. We always don't have to agree. In this case, we do, but you know, people don't always agree, and that's perfectly fine. I just think that, you know, this case has touched so many people, and I really believe that we all need to start taking a look at what we're allowing, what we're missing, signs and things like that we're missing. And because this could have been avoided, I feel like.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, guys, I'm going to I'm sorry. Thank you, Candy, for sharing your insight. My mic was muted. I hope it wasn't muted the whole time we were talking. Oh gosh, the joys of YouTube. I'm fairly new to this, especially new to bringing in people to talk. You know, in the chat. So I hope that whole conversation wasn't muted because it was really good. But, you know, I just came in to kind of talk about this case for, you know, the few people that are coming in now. I came in to talk about Darriynn Brown from the perspective of his family and his mother specifically, and what responsibility she has in this situation. You know, everyone is talking about Darriynn, and yes, he is the person, in my opinion, that ultimately took Cash's life. But I do feel like there are so many other people that need to pay attention to what they've done or what problems they've caused, including, you know, the police department, including Darriyn's mother. She had to have known, in my opinion, that her son was having challenges, clearly by her, you know, announcing that he was going through some mental health issues or whatever. And I just feel like she could have done more to possibly prevent him from, you know, committing this horrible act. She had to have known about his behavior. You know, neighbors are saying he was exposing himself in the community, walking around the neighborhood, vandalizing people's property, breaking cameras, surveillance cameras, trying to hide what he was doing. People are saying that he was, you know, breaking into people's homes. So, and I know law enforcement had to know where he lived. So they had to have communicated with her about what he was doing. And I just don't understand why how she could get on television and say that she feels like he's being framed, or that she even went so far as to try to give him an alibi. I just don't understand how she could have done that. I was on here tonight hoping to get some more people in so that I can hear your thoughts and opinions on it. If you would like to share your thoughts, I think going forward, I'm going to make these videos live, and because I like to hear everybody's opinions, I'm going to get my little audio situation straightened out so I can hear everyone clearly and you all can hear me. But if you're not able to come into the live right now and leave your comments, please, verbalize your comments, please leave your comments down below. I definitely love to see everybody's thoughts and opinions on these topics. I will be responding in the comment section as well. Sasha, you're from Chicago and this happens every day. That is true. I have not lived in Chicago, but from what we see in the news, it does happen every day. And it does, we all need to collectively start talking about it in a way where we can, I think, promote change. Somehow, I don't have all the answers. I feel like we all can bring some of those answers together and talk about it. But we need to come up with solutions. I've done a couple of cases, yes, where Chicago people have lost their lives for nothing at all. Young Black girls, Jaya Beeman losing her life just for going to a corner store after having a date with her boyfriend at an aquarium. And she ends up losing her life at 18 years old before she even gets started. So yes, it's happening in Chicago often, and it's heartbreaking. And I want to talk about how we can just encourage us to do better. That's what I want to talk about on this channel. So if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. Please consider hitting the subscribe button. Please consider hitting the share, sharing these videos out, telling people about the channel so we can come together and talk it over. It's the worst. You have a 13-year-old daughter that doesn't even realize how bad it is. Meaning like how bad Chicago is? What do you mean by that? She doesn't understand like all of the violence. I know kids tend to feel like, oh, it won't happen to me. Why are you doing too much, mom? I have kids. So is that what you mean? And 13 is tough. It's tough. Yeah. Exactly. And it's hard to encourage them to be cautious. They always want to go somewhere or do something. And as parents, you're like, no, just stay home. But you don't want to strip them from their lives either. So I get it. It's hard, how to balance. Can I let them go here? Can I let them go there? You really just have to, if you believe, give it up to God and allow them to do what you feel comfortable with allowing them to do because you're the parent. But just like in the case of Jaya Beeman, she was going to the aquarium. How many times we wanted to go to the aquarium or go out to a theme park or go to the corner store for that matter. It's almost like you can't do any of those things anymore. If you do, you just have to have in your mind, okay, they're going to the corner store. They got 20 minutes. 20 minutes come, you need to check on them, or you need to go drive over there and make sure they're still there in one piece. It's sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. But yes, I want to kind of make this channel a place where we can just come and talk it out, talk over some of these things, particularly in the Black community. I think on both sides, sure, there are times where we're the victims and we are gun violence, crime, murder, all of those things, and our community is affected by it. But it's also on the flip side too, as in the case of Darriynn Brown, where he's doing things that, should have been kind of nipped in the bud a long time ago, some way, somehow, or even in Chicago, where we have a lot of the gun violence and it's just out of control. And it's almost like silence coming from law enforcement and people who have the power to actually go out there and protect the community. So I want to talk about all those things. I see we have 5 people. We got a couple of people coming in to watch. We've been on for about 50 minutes. For those of you who have just come in, thank you guys for stopping by. If you're new and you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell before you leave. We would love to have you join this family of people talking about how we can, do things differently and talking about these topics, these cases in a way where we can dig down into, how could this have been avoided, or what can we see? What are the signs? How can we kind of prevent it from happening again? In the case of Darriynn Brown, I'm sure those of you who are watching may have, seen all of the commentary, all of the YouTube videos, all the stuff on this case. And I just wanted to talk about how, I feel like, yes, Trevor, Cash's dad, he's responsible. Darriynn is responsible. But who is responsible for Darriynn and his behavior and what he's been doing prior to allegedly taking Cash's life on May 15th? According to neighbors and lots of other people in that community, Darriynn was a menace. He was exposing himself to people in the community, busting people's surveillance cameras, walking around with a hammer and threatening people, breaking into people's home in the daylight, trying to steal or kidnap other small children. All of these things, he was arrested for, burglary or doing something else. He was caught inside of a stolen vehicle and ran from the police. All of these things that he's done, I know that police had to have some sort of interaction with his mother. And I feel like she came out, said a couple of things, one being giving him an alibi, which was, in my opinion, a lie. And then the other thing is she came out with this story about how he was so good with the cousins and the little children or whatever, but also admitting to the fact that he was going through a mental health crisis. So what was she doing to kind of curb or prevent some of his behavior? That's the question that I had for you all tonight. If you all have any thoughts and opinions on it, drop your comments down in the comment section below. I definitely will take a look and respond. Sasha, you said it's every single day. Yeah, and you know what? In Chicago, it's every single day, but it's only getting worse in other places too. It's not, Chicago is bad and known for the violence that's been going on there for years, but you're not alone. It's happening in California. We see it on the news every day. It's happening in Florida. It's happening in all these states where you have mass shootings, people walking into the Publix and they're like, okay, I just want to kill people today. Or not even mass shootings, road rage, shooting and killing people on the freeway. It is every single day, and it's basically everywhere now. I don't think there's very many places you can go where you wouldn't experience some sort of crime, or where you wouldn't feel like you have to be careful to, make sure that, or, to protect your family as best you can. It is every single day and literally everywhere. And these cases, especially with children and even adults, domestic violence, children, kidnappings, missing kids losing their lives, all of it. You just had a mass shooting last night. Where was that? What happened? I mean, there was one in Dallas, or I think it was Dallas not too long ago at a club, 14 people shot. You can't even go out and have a good time. It is crazy. Look, I think it was Dallas. If anybody knows, let me know where 14 people were shot just because of an altercation between two people. It's like two people get into a fight or some sort of dispute. You bring out a gun and you want to shoot, but then you shoot up everybody who was there just because, like, it's just the mindset of people now. That's one of the things I'm trying to get to. Like, what is going on in the minds of people? You're mad at one person, you try to take out 6 people. even the guy that went to the Publix and was angry at himself, obviously, decides he's going to go and shoot people in the store. It is sad. Inglewood. So in Inglewood, they had a mass shooting. I'm going to look it up. But yeah, I don't know. We got to figure out. I think it starts with parents. That's kind of what annoys me a little bit about this Darriynn Brown case. I feel like it starts kind of with parents going back to what we will allow and what we won't allow. Darriynn, to me, there's plenty of things I wouldn't have allowed. Like Candy said, him coming in at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and most parents who care are going to be like, where were you and what were you doing? And on the flip side of that, parents would be like, don't do it. You don't come in my house past X time, because nothing good is really happening after, to a certain time. Sure, kids want to hang out, but he shouldn't have been hanging out like that anyways when she knew he had issues. So I just think it's disgusting and kind of sad. It's not kind of, it is. It's really sad that she didn't know how, didn't consider what to do to kind of stop things before they got too far. It's just really sad. But we have been on here for 56 minutes, you guys, with our small little crew. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. Candy, I'm so thankful that you decided to, call in. You had a lot of good insight and a lot of good information. Keep calling in, keep sharing your feedback and your thoughts and your opinions. And for those of you who have just come in, thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate you all. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are alerted when I come back on live. I think from now on, I'm probably going to do lives. I just enjoy the feedback. So that's what I'll be doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care and have a good night. Bye.